Hello everyone, welcome back to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi, dated 27th October 2024. Today again we will be discussing some important topics that has appeared in today's The Hindu and The Indian Express newspapers, which are very relevant for your exam. In our first topic, we'll comprehensively cover the topic Goods and Services Tax. Then in our second topic, we'll look into various dimensions of Office of Comptroller and Auditor General. Additionally, we will also discuss one important question that has appeared in recently concluded UPSC Mains 2024 exam. Then in our simplified section, we'll take up 5 articles and we'll try to explain them in simplest language possible to enrich your understanding of the newspapers. Additionally, we have also incorporated some prelims pointer which is going to be very important for your upcoming prelims 2025 exam. So please look into that also and stay tuned. So our first topic is Goods and Services Tax. The context of this topic is that recently Chief Justice of India Shri D.Y. Chandrachud ji have said that GST is a classic example of cooperative federalism in India. As you would be aware of the fact that federalism is a system of governance where power is divided between a central government and various constituent units or regional entities like state or provinces. In a case of cooperative federalism, there is a system of collaboration or cooperation between these regional entities and central government to realize the larger developmental goals of the country as well as to serve larger public interest of the country. This particular topic GST pertains to your syllabus of GS paper 2, government policies and interventions and constitutional bodies. Additionally, it also pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 3, fiscal policy, growth and development. So why we have taken this topic of GST? Because in past few years there has been various instances where there has been questions in your GS paper 3 which has been asked from this topic, that is GST. Apart from that, in your prelims exam, there has been various questions that has appeared from this topic GST. And that is why this particular topic is very important for your economy as well as GS paper 3. So this GST was introduced in India by GST bill in year 2014 and it saw the day of light after 101 Amendment Act 2016. Now I want to ask a very basic question to you people. Till now, how many amendments have been done to the Constitution of India? Please comment your answers in the comment box. After this 101 Amendment Act 2016 was passed, there has been 3 types of GST that has been provided. There is a central GST, state GST and integrated GST. This central and state GST was applicable for intra-state trade, means when a particular goods or services is being produced and consumed in the same state, there will be a CGST or SGST that would be applicable. In case of interstate trade, there would be IGST or integrated GST that would be applicable. If you talk about what were the taxes that were subsumed under the GST, various central taxes like central excise duty, which was applicable on manufacturing of various goods, then additional excise duty, additional customs duty, which was applicable on imported products, then a special additional duty of customs, service tax, which was applicable for availing various services like when we were dining in any good hotel or restaurant. To avail that service, there was a service that was applicable by that particular hotel or restaurant. That is also subsumed under the GST. Then excise duty levied under the medicinal, toiletries, preparation, etc. Various state taxes that were subsumed like value added tax or sales tax, entertainment tax, luxury tax, tax on lottery, betting, gambling, octroi as well as purchase tax. Also, there has been provisions made for the GST Council under the Article 279A. And this GST Council is the main body which takes major decisions of the GST based on the voting, where the chairman of this GST Council is the Finance Minister of India. Additionally, there are members of this GST Council who are nominated by the state government. He or she can be the Finance Minister of the state or any other minister who is nominated by the Chief Minister of that particular state. In GST Council, center will have 1/3 voting power and states would have 2/3 voting power. and decisions in the GST Council are taken based on the majority. It requires at least 3/4 of the majority to pass any one particular decision. Now, if you look into the journey of the GST, the brief timeline, in 2000, Pradhan Mantri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji conceptualized GST and set up a committee to design GST model. The Economic Advisory Council for the PM, under which there were members like IG Patel ji, Bimal Jalan ji, they recommended the Prime Minister at that particular time to implement GST. In 2003-04, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Committee formed, which recommended introduction of GST. In 2006, Union Finance Minister in his speech of 2006-07 budget announced introduction of GST from April 1, 2010. In 2009, first discussion paper on GST was released, and in 2011, Constitution 115th Amendment Bill 2011 for incorporating relevant provision of GST was introduced in Parliament. However, later it was transferred or referred to Standing Committee. In 2014, 115th Amendment Bill lapsed with the dissolution of the 15th Lok Sabha, and it couldn't see the day of light. However, in the year 2014-15, Constitutional 122nd Amendment Bill was introduced and passed in May 2015. In August 2016, this Constitutional 101st Amendment Act was enacted. In September 16, GST Council was created and the first meeting of GST Council held. Now you people tell me in the comment box that who was the first chairman of the GST Council. In May 2017, GST Council recommended all the rules and regulations that will be applicable, and it was the date 1st July 2017 where GST was launched nationwide. Now, if we talk about various features and advantages of the GST, the first important feature of GST is that it is applicable on the supply side. It is not applicable on the production side. When a particular goods or services is being consumed, then it would be applicable. Also, it is a destination-based tax, means it would be applicable, the proceeds of the tax would be given to that particular state where that particular goods or services is ultimately being consumed. Also, there is one of the important feature of input tax mechanism. Let's try to understand this with a proper example. Let's suppose there is a raw material supplier and there is a company A which processes this raw material. Let's suppose this particular raw material supplier supplies wheat to this particular company A which produces flour or biscuits. Now let's suppose this raw material supplier have supplied 1000 rupees of raw material and there was a tax of 10% that was applicable on this raw material supply. Means this raw material supplier have given 100 rupees GST. Now this company A processes this particular raw material and ultimately sends or sells this particular produce to a wholesaler at a cost of, let's suppose, 5000 rupees. Now again, let's suppose there was a 10% tax again which was applicable and this company is liable to pay at least 500 rupees because of 10% tax that is going to be levied on this particular value addition or the final value of goods and services that this particular company A produced, and that is 5000 rupees. But if you will see, this 1000 rupees which was charged by this raw material supplier by this company A, there was a 100 rupees tax that was already included, that was already incorporated in this 1000 rupees. If this company A, which is going to pay 10% tax on this 500 rupees, if the company is going to pay 500 rupees, in a way it is also paying 10% tax on this 100 rupees which was a tax that was already paid. So to eliminate this tax on tax or cascading effect, what the GST provides that this company A can avail a system of input tax credit mechanism. Means they can take back the tax that was already paid. Means if this company A is paying 500 tax, they can avail, by this mechanism of input tax, they can get 100 rupees refund back because that was the tax that was already paid. Then if we talk about various advantages, it helps in increasing the revenue. It has helped in actually increased revenue of the central government. For example, you can see that there has been a consistent increase in the revenue of the government since 2021 financial year, and this was almost 20.18 lakh crore in financial year 23-24. Also, the average monthly GST collection in last 4 years has also seen a increasing trend. For example, in 23-24, it is 1.68 lakh crore annual monthly GST, average monthly GST collection. Also, it eliminates the cascading effect that we have talked, that tax on tax that was earlier applicable. There was no system of input tax credit mechanism. So people were paying tax on tax, means we were paying tax on already paid tax. Also, it creates a common market because same rate of tax is applicable on all the states and union territories. So it helps in creating a common market or national market. Also, it helps in increased ease of doing business because of the improved or easy compliance burden on the various companies or business houses. Earlier there has been lot of state taxes, central taxes, so compliance was very difficult, but now compliance has become very easy with the coming of the GST. Also, it helped in reduced corruption as well as leakages, because earlier when there were large taxes, there was some kind of inspector raj also, where and more lot of taxes were actually being paid in the cash also, so lot of corruptions and leakages were happening at various stages. However, due to the technological integration that everyone have to pay GST through GST portal, less human intervention is there. It is helping in ensuring that there is less leakages as well as less corruption. If you talk about various issues under the GST, first important issue is delay in GST Council meets. As we have discussed that GST Council is the ultimate authority which decides on various needs that has arisen after the implementation of the GST. When there is delay in the GST Council meets, it somehow disturbs the cooperative federalism for which this GST have came. Also, there has been multiple tax rate, for example 0%, 5%, 18%, 28%. Because of this multiple tax slabs, there is lot of confusion. It unnecessarily creates lot of confusion, as well as it also increases the compliance burden on the various businesses houses. Also, the lack of coverage under the GST. Some of the important sectors like petrol, GST, electricity, aviation turbine fuel is still outside the GST ambit. That disturbs or that hampers the vision of the one nation, one tax. Then there has been delay in the disbursement of the compensation cess. Initially it was for the 5 years. However, due to the low revenue of the central government during the COVID time, the GST compensation cess has taken a hit. However, later after the COVID was over, the central government provided the compensation cess, but it is going to be lapsed in the year 2026. So there is still doubt whether it would be continued after 2026 or not. We'll discuss what is GST compensation in later part of our discussion. Also, there are various technical issues that creates lot of difficulty, like there are delay in the GST refund that is there. Also, at the time of filing, the portal is not that customer friendly. That also creates various issues. Now, if we talk about various reforms that are needed under the GST, the first important is the rate rationalization. It is important, it is prudent that GST Council merge some of the tax slabs to ensure that there is less confusion, as well as that will also help in improving the compliance burden, as well as it will help in improving the ease of doing business. Also, there is need for inclusion of the excluded items. For that, there is a lot of deliberation that is required between the central government and the state government to address the apprehensions of the state government, because most of these products like petrol, diesel, etc. constitute an important component for the revenue of the states. So that's why they are not willing for the inclusion of these products under the GST. So if the central government would promise for the loss of their revenue, they might be ready for the inclusion of these products under the GST ambit. Also, there is need for system simplification. For this, more and more newer technology need to be integrated so that the portal and the overall GST structure can be made more customer friendly. Also, there is need for more technological integration like blockchain technology that can actually help in addressing the cases of corruption as well as leakages. Also, we need to rationalize the exemptions. Because of this, there are various cases where businesses bring down their ultimate tax liability to a very low extent. So we need to rationalize the exemptions also that are provided under the GST to ensure that there is an increased revenue to the government. Also, there is need for better revenue sharing with the panchayats and the municipalities, and this has been also recommended by various finance commission, because these panchayats and the municipalities are the ultimate authority which is implementing various programs like MG Narega, etc. So if they would be provided these funds, there is chances, as experts believe, that there would be an improved implementation of various schemes of the central as well as state governments. Also, there is need for timely dispute resolutions, especially the disputes that arises that what particular product should come under what particular tax slab, or whether the compensation should be continued on till what time this GST compensation should be provided, etc. All that needs to be addressed at a faster manner. If we talk about this GST compensation cess, is both that was levied both on intra-state as well as interstate supply of goods and services, and the main aim of this cess was to compensate to the state for the loss of revenue due to the implementation of the GST in year 2017. Also, the cess was imposed for a period of 5 years from the day of GST implementation, and however it was later extended. If the funds from the GST compensation cess are unutilized, then after the transition period ends, it would be shared equally by the central as well as state government. And there are various sin goods like tobacco products, high-end vehicles, etc., on which these GST compensation was applicable. If you look into one prelims previous year question that was asked from this particular topic, which are the most likely advantages of the implementing goods and services tax, and this was asked in year 2017, the same year when it was implemented nationwide. It will replace multiple tax collected by multiple authorities and thus create a single market in India. It will drastically reduce the current account deficit of India and will enable it to increase its foreign exchange reserves. It will enormously increase the growth and size of economy of India and will enable it to overtake China in near future. This particular statement, it will drastically reduce the current account deficit and enable it to overtake China in the near future. Please focus on these few keywords in these two statements and tell the answer of this particular question in the comment box. A mains practice question that you people can write from this particular topic is that discuss the major issues in the goods and services tax in India, suggest measures to address these challenges and enhance the effectiveness of GST as a tool for economic growth. So, our next topic is Comptroller and Auditor General of India. The context of this topic is that opposition MLAs move High Court seeking directions to the ruling party to place CAG reports before the Assembly of the Delhi. This particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 2, constitutional bodies. Why we have taken this particular topic? Because of the fact there has been various questions that has been asked in your mains paper from this particular topic in year 2016, 2018 and recently concluded UPSC Mains 2024 also there has been one question from this particular topic, which we would be also discussing at the later part of our discussion. If you talk about various articles that pertains to the office of CAG, article 148 to 151 relates with the office of CAG. Now you tell me in the comment box that which particular part actually talks about this office of CAG. Article 148 talks about office of CAG, the appointment process, resignation and everything. Article 149 talks about the duties and the powers of the CAG. Article 150, forms of account of the union and states, in what form they should be maintained. Article 151 talks about various audit reports that has to be submitted by the CAG to the President of India, who will lay it in front of the House. Then if you talk about the appointment process of the CAG, he or she would be appointed by the President of India by warrant under his hand and seal. Then the term of the CAG is provided by the CAG Duties, Powers and Conditions of Service Act 1971. So if there is a statement that the term of office or the requirement to be elected or to be selected as a office of CAG is not provided under the constitution, but it is provided under this. The term of office of CAG is provided under this CAG Act of 1971, which says that the term of office should be 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. If you talk about the resignation, he gives his resignation to the president. Also, if we talk about the removal process, he or she can be removed from his office for proved misbehavior and incapacity in the same manner as a judge of Supreme Court. That is a resolution that is passed by the both house by a special majority. And as per the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, this CAG is one of 4 bulk war of democratic system in India. So one we have known, that is the CAG. What are other 3? That is, second is the Supreme Court, that actually is the guarantor of the fundamental rights. Also, that ensures that all the provisions of the constitutions are being followed properly or not. Then the Election Commission, that looks for overall electoral process in India. The direction, superintendence and control of the elections is vested with the Election Commission under the Article 324. Then the Union Public Service Commission, which is the watchdog of the merit system in India. So these are the 4 bulk wars of the democratic system in India as per the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. If you talk about various functions of the CAG, Article 150, under this, it advises the President with regard to the prescription of the form in which accounts of the center and states shall be kept. In what prescription, in what manner the accounts should be kept. Under Article 151, it submits audit reports relating to the accounts of the center to the President, who shall in turn place them before the both houses of the Parliament. Then under Article 151, it submits the audit reports relating to the accounts of the state to the Governor, who shall in turn place them before the state legislature. Under Article 279, it ascertains and certifies the net proceeds of the any tax or duty, and the CAG certificate in this regard is final. There are various other functions that has been provided by this CAG Act of 1971, under which the CAG have the power to audit various government institutions as well as various public sector undertakings also. If we talk about various types of audits conducted by the CAG, there is legal and regulatory audit, which ensures that all government expenditure is authorized by the law. It also verifies that funds that have been utilized for the intended purpose. What does it mean? That whatever the demands of the grant, first of all, that should be passed by the Parliament properly. Then for what particular purpose that demand for grant was, for that particular only that particular money is being used. That is also the duty of the CAG. Also, CAG checks if the procedure and the processes followed are in accordance with the established norm, that is constitution and various other laws of the land. Then there is propriety audit, which examines the wisdom and prudence of decision related to the expenditure. It assesses whether the expenditure is cost effective and the value for money. Because in the first case, under the regulatory audit or legal audit, it is checking whether that particular money was authorized by the law, whether the money is being used for the intended purpose. If there is a particular scheme, let's suppose for that 60-70,000 crore was allocated, so whether all that money was used for that particular scheme only or not. First of all, CAG has to ensure this. Then second, that it checks that whether the money was being used in a cost effective, in a value for money method or not. For example, in the case of 2G scam, the spectrums were allocated haphazardly and it led to loss of revenue to the exchequer. Again, in the case of the coal block scam, the coal blocks were allocated without proper auction, and again this led to the loss of revenue to the government, to the exchequer. Recently, there has been various reports with regard to the scams that has happened in the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway project. That again identifies the stances of the wasteful expenditure, inefficiency and mismanagement. So under this propriety audit, the CAG is actually looking that money was being used in a proper, rational, efficient manner or not. Then there is a performance audit where the CAG looks into economy, efficiency and effectiveness in the receipts and applications of the public funds. And it also looks into comprehensive appraisal of the progress and efficiency of the execution of the developmental programs, that at what stage this particular program has reached, what is the progress, is it being progressed properly or not. Then why propriety audit matters, why it is important for propriety audit? Because it helps in ensuring that there is public accountability. It holds government officials accountable for their decision, ensuring transparency and preventing misuse of public funds. Also, the efficient resource utilization. By identifying inefficiency and wasteful practices, the CAG helps optimize resource allocation and improve the public service delivery. Also, various policy recommendation that has been many a times guided by the CAG reports often contained valuable insights and recommendation for improving the government policies and procedures, and that's why in the further amendments or in the further rules that are being followed, these reports are incorporated to improve the efficient functioning or efficient utilization of the resources. Also, it helps in strengthening the governance, that a robust propriety audit system promotes good governance by discouraging corruption and ensuring the accountability. It will create a deterrence effect, that in future if there is some mismanagement of the fund or misuse of the fund that is going to happen, the people will be fearful of doing that. If we talk about various limitations of the CAG, it does a post facto audit, which is only limiting to the examining past actions. We can't go into the past and undo that particular act which was done. So this is just doing the postmortem. However, it has helped in ensuring that various penal actions has been taken after the court interventions. Also, it has helped in improving the functioning of the government, etc. And it has also helped in building the perception of the government, building the perception of the people towards the government. Also, with regard to the limited powers, it lacks enforcement mechanism for the information, because whenever the CAG gives some information, there is no mechanism by which they can enforce that report. There is no provision that CAG can take any penal action on the inefficient use of the funds. Also, the subjectivity in the propriety audit. For some people, a particular case can be prudent use of the resources. For some people, this will not be a prudent use of the resources. So there is a lot of subjectivity that is involved in the propriety audit. And that is why we need objective criteria to ensure that proper objectivity is being used in the propriety audit without the bias of the surveyor or the people who are under the CAG. Also, the timely audit reports. There has been several instances where there is delay in the report submission and implementation of the various recommendation of the CAG. Also, there are various resource constraints, that insufficient staff and the lack of proper budget for the comprehensive audits. Also, there has been various instances where the CAG faces difficulty in the technology upgradation, etc. That creates a lot of difficulty in a case where the technology have intervened to various sectors of the country. Also, the complex financial systems, that also creates difficulty in modern financial instruments. Then there have been various instances where the effective functioning of the CAG have also been interfered by the politics of the country, and that because they create potential pressures from the government officials, and that hampers the impartial, transparent functioning of the CAG. Also, the public perception, that misinterpretation of audit findings by the media and public. There has been various inflated figures that has been shown in the media and public, for example in the 2G case, in the CAG case, etc. And there has been less substantial evidence, and that is the reason why many of the person who has been prosecuted under these scams has came out of the jails. So what is the way forward? First, there is need for enhanced technological capacity. We need to employ the advanced audit tools for efficient analysis. We also need to strengthen the audit workforce, recruit skilled professionals with diverse expertise. Also, we need to expand the audit scope, include emerging areas like cybersecurity and the climate finance. And also there is need for timely report publication. And for that, we need to expedite the report release for quicker action. Also, there is need for public awareness campaigns, educate citizens about CAG's roles and findings. And there is also need for inter-agency coordination between different agencies of the government. And when they will be collaborating with other oversight bodies, it will help in comprehensive scrutiny of various accounts of central and state government. And it is very important to ensure that there is impartial and transparent functioning, that there is a CAG that is needed which have various powers, and they have also some mechanism to enforce those powers. Because Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also says that the CAG shall be the most important office and officer under the Constitution of India, and there has been little attention paid to the office of CAG as compared to other posts and offices as mentioned under the Constitution. But it is an office of utmost importance and relevance. It is high time to make relevant reforms to make the functioning of the CAG more transparent and efficient. And one mains practice question that you people can write from this particular topic is: discuss the various types of audit conducted by the CAG, highlight the limitations faced by the CAG in carrying out its duties effectively, suggest measures to enhance the CAG's impact on public financial management. Now, the one question that has appeared in 2024 exam was that the duty of CAG is not merely to ensure the legality of the expenditure but also its propriety. Comment. Now, what should be the structure of this answer? That in the introduction, you will give the basic constitutional provisions related to the CAG, and then briefly in the body part, you will first mention that what is the legality of the expenditure or the regulatory audit and what is the propriety audit. Then you will give various examples under which the propriety audit was done. Also, why propriety audit is very important in a democratic country like India. The importance of this particular audit you will give under the separate heading. Then you can give a way forward to improve the process of propriety audit, or you can just conclude by mentioning the significance of CAG as well as the propriety audit. In our simplified section, our first topic is aspirational district program. This particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 2, government policies and intervention, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express, page number 6. Now, this article is one such example which is more political in nature. This particular article is talking about the success of one major national political party in the recently concluded Lok Sabha polls in 2024. Now, for us, the success or the failure of any one political party is not important in any one Lok Sabha poll or assembly poll. But since it has used one important program, that is ADP, this particular programs become very important for our exam. This particular article have only this much of content which was important as per the requirement of our exam given in the, as recommended by the syllabus of UPSC. Now, this ADB program, which has been launched by the government of India in January 2018. This ADP aims to rapidly improve the socio-economic status of 112 underdeveloped districts across the country. Now, objective of this program is to address the disparities in the key areas. What are those key areas? Health and nutrition, for which the weightage is 30%, education, for which again the 30% weightage is there, agriculture and water resources 20% weightage, financial inclusion and skill development 10%, and basic infrastructure 10%. There are 49 indicators across these focus areas. Based on the weightage that has been given, there is a ranking that is given to the districts. So there is a case of competition between these districts to improve their ranking based on these indicators, and this is what that was given in the article also, that development in the aspirational district is measured using 49 indicators under the 5 broad themes: health and nutrition, education, agriculture and water resources, financial inclusion, skill development and basic infrastructure. Also, this Niti Aayog anchors this particular program by coordinating with central and state governments, providing technical support and monitoring the progress of various districts. If we talk about various principles that are followed under the aspirational district program, first important is convergence, that is convergence of various central and state schemes to ensure that these schemes are being properly implemented in these districts and they can come out of that clutches of the disparities or the backwardness. Then there is competition between these districts to improve their ranking, as well as in a way this is also the competition between the various state also, that focuses on the spirit of the competitive federalism. Also the collaboration between various agencies, that is central government, state government, as well as the various agencies which are implementing various programs of the central as well as state government. So these are the three principles based on which the ADP works. The ranking and monitoring of the districts are based on the monthly data across the 49 key sectors, and that is mainly encouraging the competition and accountability, and it is more of a data driven, where there is a constant data that is coming from these districts, and this use the real time data through a digital dashboard which allows for targeted interventions and informed decision making. Again, it is championing federalism, that it emphasizes cooperative federalism with active participation and convergence of efforts by both central and state government. Also, if we talk about impact and success, measurable improvement in health, education and livelihood indicators contributing significantly to reducing regional disparities as well as enhancing the overall human development. Our next topic is new date for Gaganyaan and Chandrayaan 4. This particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 3, space technology, indigenization of technology, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express, page number 1. The context is that emphasizing the need for greater indigenization of space technology, our current chairman of ISRO, S. Somnath ji, on Saturday said that India was aiming to increase its contribution to global space economy to at least 10% in next one decade from the current 2%. Now, why this particular paragraph is important for your exam? Because in many cases, you can relate your conclusion with some of the government targets to show that futuristic approach or optimistic approach in your concluding remarks. So if there is a question on space technology in your GS paper 3, you can relate or you can conclude by this particular data that India aims to increase the contribution to global space economy by at least 10% in the next decade, as said by ISRO chairman. Also, the article says that Gaganyaan, the manned space mission, which is likely in 2026. Then there is a sample return mission, Chandrayaan 4, that is scheduled to be launched in 2028, and much delayed India-US NASA India Joint Aperture Mission, NISAR, is finally slated for next year. The ISRO chairman also disclosed that a joint moon landing mission with Japan Space Agency JAXA, which was originally named LUPEX or Lunar Polar Exploration, would be the Chandrayaan 5 mission, and he did not mention the expected time frame for Chandrayaan 5. Under the Chandrayaan 4, there would be a particular lander that will collect the samples from that particular lunar surface, and then that particular samples from the surface would be brought back to the earth, and they would be experimented, they would be checked in the labs to enrich our understanding of the lunar surface. And in the next would be the Chandrayaan 5. The details of that is still not out, and there is also not a fixed time when it would be launched. If you talk about the prelims boosters from this, the ongoing Gaganyaan mission is an ongoing project to send a 3-day manned mission to low Earth orbit of 400 kilometers with a crew of 3 members and bring them safely back to the Earth. LMV-3, which is previously called Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III or GSLV Mark III, is the launching vehicle of Gaganyaan mission, and it is a 3-stage heavy lift launch vehicle. If you talk about various payloads of the mission, there is crew module, which provides for habitat of astronauts that ensures a safe environment in space. Then there is service module, which provides a propulsion, power and essential mission support. Then there is environmental control and life support system, which maintains the breathable air, a proper amount of oxygen and temperature for the crew safety. Then there is abort system, which enables rapid separation of the crew module in case of any emergency. Then there is crew escape system, which propel the crew module away during the launch emergencies. Then there is GNC system that maintains trajectory and orientation through the mission. Onboard avionics and computers that ensures real-time monitoring and mission control. Then there is communication and tracking system that maintains contact with the ground control and transmits mission data. Also, the re-entry and the recovery systems that helps in safely return of the crew module to Earth with controlled landing. Our next topic is battered by rain and betrayed by the price, which is about the soybean cultivation, especially in the state of Madhya Pradesh. This particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 3 agriculture, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu, page number 4. Let's first decode the news. The Madhya Pradesh, which is also known as the soybean state, produces the largest amount of crop in the country. This is the first important point for your exam, followed by the Maharashtra. So top two producer of the soybean are Madhya Pradesh and the Maharashtra. Two states grow almost 85% of India's total production. Data is from Indian Institute of Soybean Research, that is of 2023. India produced 13.98 million tons of soybean. Also, the MSP of the soybean is fixed by the government at 4,892. Now there are various bodies which says that this MSP is very low and it doesn't even cover the cost of the cultivation of the this crop. So this is where this particular article is saying that due to the rains in the month of September and various other climate change events, the farmers are getting impacted, they are getting affected. And again, due to the low prices of MSP and due to the sudden decrease in the APMC mandi, the prices of the soybean, the farmers are also betrayed by the prices for the soybeans. Also, why there has been sudden decrease, especially in the private market, the prices of soybean? Because of the large scale supply that happened at one point of time. Also, one of the major reason for low profitability of the farmers is the charge that are being levied by the agents or the adatiyas in the APMC mandis, because these agents or adatiyas helps in facilitating the trade in those APMC mandis. And this issue of adatiyas or the charges by the agents was one of the reasons that 4 farm laws were brought, and one of the farm laws was, one of the main aim of that was to curb or to demolish these culture of the agents in the APMC mandis. Also, another factor that has been highlighted in the this particular article is that the low yield of the soybean, because in terms of sowing area we are 4th after the US, Brazil and Argentina, but in terms of production we are 5th and China is the 4th. As per the data, India has produced only 882 kg of the soybean per hectare compared to Brazil, which produces at least 3,564 kg by Brazil in year 21-22. You can see that the yield or the productivity of Brazil is at least 4 times what we are producing. So this low yield, which is mainly by various factors like low inputs availability, better quality, lack of proper quality of inputs availability like seeds, fertilizers, etc., low mechanization, and lack of proper knowledge about newer technologies. Now, and again the article says that soybean is largely seen an oilseed crop, and the center hiked the import duty on various edible oils including crude soybean oil from nil to 20% and refined soybean oil from 12.5% to 32.5%. And the main aim why this particular hike was seen in the import duty, to promote the indigenous production of the oilseeds crops in India, because when the import duty would be hiked, there would be less import that would be done in India, and that will promote the indigenous production, that will ramp up our domestic capacities. Also, in India, only about 6 to 7% of soybean crop is used for food as a source of vegetarian protein, and it has all 9 amino acids. And soybean was introduced in India from US in a joint research project involving University of Illinois, Chicago, GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Uttarakhand, and University of Jabalpur, now Rani Durgavati Vishwavidyalaya in MP. So this is also one of the important fact for your exam. Let's also briefly look into some geographical condition required for soybean, that it requires warm and moist climate. An optimum temperature for the production of soybean is 26 to 30 degrees Celsius, and the soil temperature requirement is 15.5 degrees Celsius or above, that favors the rapid germination and vigorous seedling growth. A lower temperature tends to delay the flowering of the soybean. If you look into the area where this soybean is largely cultivated, in most of the central state like MP, Maharashtra and parts of Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, These are the some of the areas where soybean is grown prominently. Our next topic is with regard to the Meghalaya polio case. This has appeared in today's today's The Hindu, page number 12, and this particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 2, health, government policies and intervention. The context is that Indian Health Ministry and the Meghalaya state government have till date refused to reveal all the details of the polio case in 2-year-old boys in Meghalaya's West Garo Hills district, who was found with the symptoms of polio in first week of August this year. And WHO too has been cagey about the making any kind of official announcement of this particular case till now. Now, what has happened that on August 12, ICMR NIV Mumbai unit had shared the results of Meghalaya polio case with the Health Ministry, the Meghalaya state government and the WHO. On September 16, WHO told the Hindu that the case was a type 1 viral DPV, who WHO says that child was not immunocompromised and there was no evidence of virus circulation in the community. Before mid-September, the follow-up test results of the child immunological profile and the virus circulation in the community were shared with WHO, and this is with regard to only that WHO shared its reports with the Hindu. Despite having all the details, the WHO have not published the details of the report, and the Global Polio Eradication Initiative too has remained silent about the polio case in Meghalaya. Let's look into some of the basic details about polio and this initiative. This polio or poliomyelitis is a highly contagious viral disease which primarily affects the children under the 5, leading to paralysis and sometimes death in the extreme cases. If you talk about the causes, polio virus, which spreads through contaminated water, food and contact with the infected fecal matter. There are 3 strains of the polio. Type 2 eradication. The WPV2 was eradicated globally in 1999 with no cases reported since then. Type 3 eradication. The wild polio virus strain 3 was declared eradicated in 2019, meaning no cases of this strain remained worldwide. But the WPV1 strains have still there, with cases reported primarily in Pakistan and Afghanistan. If we talk about the vaccine, there are OPV or oral polio vaccines and inactivated polio vaccine or IPV, that is injected, are the 2 main vaccines used to prevent polio. There is this Global Polio Eradication Initiative started in 1988, aims to fully eliminate polio through vaccination and surveillance. Our next topic is $25 million pandemic fund goes to curb zoonotic disease in India. Now, this particular topic again relates with GS paper 2 health, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu, page number 12. The context is that center has started work on $5 million G20 pandemic fund project to improve the animal health in India as part of an effort to improve the preparedness and response to the pandemics. As you would be aware of the fact that zoonotic disease are those diseases which are transferred from animal to the humans. Now, this particular fund will help in enhancing the country's animal health security by upgrading and expanding the animal health laboratory and developing the laboratory networks. This will also help in curbing various zoonotic diseases like malaria, dengue, etc. The center said that the project, in partnership with Asian Development Bank, World Bank, as well as the Food and Agricultural Organization, that is FAO, and it would be implemented with the fund to be utilized by August 2026. Also, if you look into that, why it is important for India is that India is located as a high risk of emerging infections as per the Infectious Disease Index. India scored low 42.8 on Global Health Security Index with a high level of environmental risk and public health vulnerabilities. 60% of pathogens that cause human diseases come from domestic animals or wildlife, and 75% of emerging human pathogens are of animal origin. For example, monkeypox or various other diseases that has recently seen, for example, the various influenza, etc. A lot of them are rooted to the animals, and this particular fund project will address human health through the lens of animal health, and it would reduce the risk posed by pathogen emerged from animal and transmitting to the human population, endangering health, nutrition security and livelihoods of vulnerable population, small holding farmers, especially the women. Now let's look into some basic details about EDB. World Bank as well as the FAO. This ADB was founded in 1966 and headquartered in Manila, Philippines to promote the economic development in Asia. The primary focus is on poverty reduction, infrastructure development and sustainable economic growth. If we talk about the funding mechanism of ADB, it includes loan, technical assistance as well as grants to the member countries. Environmental and social safeguards guide project funding to promote the sustainable practices. Also, the member in countries include 68 nations with projects in energy, education, transportation and health sector. Now you tell me that under the Asian Development Bank, is it the case that all the nations are from the Asia only, or is it the case that there are some members who are outside the continent of Asia also? Then the World Bank, which has been founded in 1944 as a result of Bretton Woods Conference to finance the post-war reconstruction, now focuses on global poverty reduction. The main institutions of World Bank are International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, International Developmental Association, and there are other institutions of World Bank. Project financing supports infrastructure, education, healthcare and private sector growth in developing countries. Knowledge sharing and research provide policy advice, data analysis and technical expertise, and sustainable development goals aligned projects that target the poverty, inequality and climate action. If you talk about FAO, which has been established in 1945 as a specialized UN agency focused on eliminating hunger. Now you tell me that how many organs or agencies are there under the United Nations. The primary goal of FAO is to improve the food security, nutrition and sustainable agriculture. Data collection and research supports global agricultural practices and food system monitoring. Key programs of FAO include addressing food security, plant and animal health and climate change adoption. Also, the global partnership with government, NGOs and private sector to promote food access and rural development is also one of the important mandates of FAO. That was all from today's Analyst. Thank you very much. All the very best. Keep studying.